From what I've learned over the 50 years or so of our friendship, Chris is a card from the unexpected deck. I've also learned to expect the unexpected. Growing up in Brooklyn isn't so strange, but the very long leash Chris was given as a child astonishes me. I asked his mother what he was like as a child. She replied that Chris was the same person from the moment he was born that he is today. Quite a funny image for me to consider, for at the time he was wearing high platform pimp shoes, shoulder-length hair, spandex pants, and eyes dripping with black kohl eyeliner. However, Estelle was right. Essentially, he is the same person I've known after all these years of living and loving and working with him. We had both scrambled around the Lower East Side during the late 60s and early 70s, often going to the same concerts or shows or events, but never meeting. When we finally did meet, it was at the Boburn Tavern in the Flower Market district of Manhattan. I was singing in a trio called the Stilettos with Elda Gentile and Roseanne Trapani. Chris and his girlfriend Elvira came to the show, and afterward we met for the first time in the dark stairwell, filled with the scents of plants and flowers, mixed with the dust of perhaps 100 years, which served as our dressing room just to the side of the stage. This was about 1972 or 73. The two of them were dressed in a crossover mix of hippie glam rock fashion and much more black kohl eyeliner and drenched in patchouli oil scent. A few weeks later, we needed a bass player, and Chris and I started what became a very long music and love relationship. I'm not completely psychic, but sometimes we all get a feeling of what's to come. You simply have to take my word for this. Most of what we did went unrecorded, heard only by our small live audiences, made up mostly of friends and a few drunks, and was eventually lost to the infinite particles of the universe. What we did was crackling with innuendo, but then blew out like a puff of smoke in an era with no cell phones. I can't say enough good things about Under a Rock. It's not in my nature to want to keep looking back nostalgically, but Chris has written a many-layered view with his tireless memory, and I can only see a few places in our part of his story that may have been slightly different. Reading about the early days and all the things we did and how hard we worked actually made me tired and dizzy when I first read some early pages, but it also gave me many wonderful feelings and refreshed memories that we shared as we flew headfirst into our fantastic moonshot on the good ship Blondie. Debbie Harry.
The Cup, a downtown memory. One day I took a walk up 10th Avenue, and at 30th Street I saw a bottle lying at the edge of the curb that was unmistakably full of pee. Over the many years I have lived in this city, I have seen bottles full of pee sitting on curbs all over town. I know from my friend Joe, who for years and years drove a yellow cab, that the bottles of pee come from taxi drivers. Taxi drivers aren't allowed to stop anywhere to pee, and they usually have 12-hour shifts, so they pee in bottles and leave them by the curb. Looking at this particular one, I was reminded of an actual cup of pee I knew about once. The cup of pee was noticed by Chris Stein one early November day as he walked past it. It was sitting on the granite ledge of a boarded-up window in an old industrial building on a street still more or less deserted. He'd lived in the city forever, so he instantly recognized it as pee. I don't remember why he told me about it, but I remember him saying, "I saw a cup of piss sitting on a windowsill," and sort of giggling. Over the next little while, he called every day to tell me that the cup of pee was still there, because every day he passed it on his way to the deli where he went to get coffee. Quite a few days later, Chris told me that the pee in the cup was starting to turn from yellow to a shade of amber. He was amazed that the cup of pee was undisturbed after weeks of sitting there.